Like he was really good at every aspect of it. And the thing that he was perhaps best at from the reviewer side and from the player side is seeing where the game was going. That as micros became more prolific, as you started having many more urban hides versus everything being in parks, he could see the problems that was going to cause.
Mm.
And when you go way back into the guidelines, it's amazing how many guidelines are could be attributed to his contributions to the game. And sometimes it was because he would see something coming, and he would suggest like this is going to be a problem, and the other reviewers and the lackeys would come and like, oh yeah, let's fix that. Other times they would say it's not a problem, so he would go do it. So the reason we have the reason that geocaches are a tenth of a mile apart, 528 feet apart, is because Joe saw the problem of urban caches and things being able to be put much closer together. He felt like his worries were falling on deaf ears, so he went to the Nashville Zoo and placed a geocache with permission because he was working with the zoo at every exhibit inside the zoo.
Oh,
Some
wow.
of them were 60 feet apart, some of them were 150 feet apart. And that naturally caused problems, particularly when you look at GPSs in the day. Because, like in 2003, my GPS only counted down to 2 decimal points. So when you got to zero, that meant you were within 50 feet of the nearest
Right.
cache. So there were several guidelines that you go through that Joe saw this was going to be a problem and either helped head it off or took a hypothetical problem and made it a real world problem, so it had to be addressed.
Wow.
Vacation caches, the same kind of thing. But there's a ton of stuff like the core DNA of the game. He had a ton to do with that. I mean, the core game starts in Seattle. Like
Yeah.
we start well, it starts in Oregon, but it starts in the Pacific Northwest. That's the core game up there, and what Jeremy and Elias and Brian put together is absolutely amazing. But it has evolved quite a bit, and of course, things evolve more when they're young.
Right.
And Joe had his hands in that from right from the beginning. He was a charter member, and he was working with them as a reviewer. So they were looking at he was looking for problems, and he was looking at not just the local game but the meta game, and trying to find ways to make things better and trying to make sure that things were happening in a positive way for geocaching.